If you're new to this channel, this is Not Nation. I'm gonna bring you guys through my past 8-year journey here on this little video on what it's like having freeform locks. So let's go. The beginning of my dreadlock journey started in about 2015, January the 4th, and I was live streaming how to freeform your locks. But I was semi-freeforming in that video, technically because I used a crochet hook and I did just the outer brim of my head, little tiny dread buds. And then I allowed the rest of it and all of it growing in from there to freeform. I did not touch any of the roots ever. And that's how I basically started my dreadlock journey. And now 8 years later, my locks have gained a whole lot of length. Way more than I ever thought I would get. So I guess from the beginning stages of my locks starting to freeform, or going from semi-freeform into fully freeform, within that first year to 5 years, I was separating my locks and trying to keep them, semi-uniform in diameter. It wasn't until around the 5th year or 6th year, I started to desire thicker locks, and I wanted more congos, and I wanted locks coming together, more of those like dragon tail type locks, or like what I often called finger type locks. And I was also very intrigued by wicks at the time, so I was doing both routes of combining my locks, the natural route and also the crochet hook route, more specifically the triple-headed crochet hook. And I was using that to just wick one lock together, just as an experiment. And boy, was that an experiment. Okay, so the wick made my hair artificially long. I don't know how it happened, but when I joined up these locks on the side here, it extended everything down a lot further. And then this was when my first issues really started to arise, because I started having my lock get in the way a lot more often because of its length. Whether this be getting caught in car doors or like cupboards or just door jams in general, under my feet when I'm kneeling, under my knees, sometimes I'm sitting on it, in my coat jacket, in the zipper, in my food, my cereal bowl, into my drink. Like it was dipping and diving everywhere. So I ended up not enjoying the wick on my head because it didn't feel as natural as it could have. But what I did was, all the new growth coming in from that wick, I was able to let that Congo up naturally over the course of this much time. I cut it off. So now you can see the end game of what the wick was, because these were combined before, and this is how the new growth is now. So here's a takedown. Here's my hair in the updo, in the up hat. This is as I take them down. They're definitely getting lengthy. But you can see that they got different lengths going on now. I'm loving the look I got. And even like the front ones have gotten really, really long. These are original length, these locks at the front. 8 years. So pretty much what you're seeing in the front here is what 8 years of length looks like. And it's not often that I come outside with my locks out like this, so I'm definitely feeling the breeze right now. The length in the front is actually starting to get a little too long, and they are dipping in things once again. Like if I kneel over to pick something up off the ground, I gotta make sure that my locks don't touch the ground. So there's always something to think about still with the length, but I'm very pleased with them. And you can actually see some of the color has been changing on these locks. They've been getting a lot lighter. Like this lock actually looks like relatively blonde in some spots. It's crazy. That's just from the sun, right? So yeah, it's definitely been a journey. Now I've been trying to cover them up at night as much as possible. Every night it doesn't tend to get that way, but so there is some lint and some buildup in terms of like fabric and materials. They're definitely not perfect, but they're mine, and they're personal to my own likings, which is why I love it. And I've been trying to like make more hats lately. This is kind of an example of like what I've been trying to make in terms of TAMs and clothing and stuff like that. So this is also like something else I'm just kind of like progressing more on for 2023. No more showing you what my scalp is looking like at the moment. I'm due for a washing right now. Lately I've been using just a natural bar soap, and I have been using some tea gel for when my dandruff gets too much. It's hard to line up the shots here. Doing my best. It's winter, so the air is very dry and cold, and it doesn't help with the scalp situation out here. So definitely need to moisturize and wash my hair more often in the winter, but it's harder to, because I don't get that same benefit of going outside to air drying it like I do in the summer. So I end up wearing hats more than often. You know? These hats come in great. I do have some on sale on my big cartel shop if you're interested. Links in the description, my friends. Why has it been a hell of a ride? Because freeform dreadlocks, I mean, they're easy, but they take a lot of time. And I've been through a lot of stages on these locks right now, from dread fro to shoulder length locks, down to combining some locks into wicks, down to trimming some locks now after all these years.